Hello and welcome along to the Milltek Sports Civic Cup round 16, the final race of the weekend, the final race of the year here at Snetterton. We're just going to get this one done before sunset does arrive at the Snetterton circuit this afternoon. We've got the grid poised, ready to go, heading off very shortly onto a formation lap, and this is a race that will pretty much crown us a champion. I don't think it's quite done yet. There have been some action-packed races so far today. We've had 3 in total. This is the 4th of the day. Of course, we had a race carried over from yesterday, which we had to squeeze into this morning. That was carried over from Donington Park, and that gave us loads of close racing as well. Earlier on, round 15 was a reverse grid race. Unfortunately, it saw a slightly premature end with the red flags. We didn't get the full 15 minutes in, but let's see if we can round off the season in style as we work our way through the field. There's Ali Camp, who is the championship leader, looking to be crowned the champion for this year. Ryan Bensley has had some problems so far this weekend, but looking good in this final race. And then further back as we work our way down the field, Bradley Lane in car number 40. And also on the grid, looking good there, is the number 83 machine as well, 63 machine of Phil Wright, who on occasions this year has gone well. He's not picked up a win. He's had a couple of podiums, but can he end the season in style as well? He's got some work to do from lower down on the grid. That is the majority of the Cup class competitors, and a little bit further down as well we'll see the production class runners as well, with a title still up for grabs in that one, with the likes of Mervyn Beckett, Harry Threlfall and Alfie Threlfall, who came into this weekend in the championship lead, but things have not gone his way. Unfortunately, he's had some big damage with his original car, and the replacement car hasn't seemed to be on song as much as he'd have liked, so he's got work to do if he's on the grid. But we'll watch out to see how the production class will come to a close, and also how the overall championship in the Cup class comes to a close as well. But for the final time this year, the car's now heading off onto their formation lab, and hopefully we'll be able to take you through how the grid lines up then for round number 6 of the season. And it will see George Williams to start from pole position. These times based from the second fastest in qualifying. Matt Luff will start alongside, and then row 2 sees Jamie Tonks and Robert Butler on row number 2. Row 3 is with Morgan Bailey and Alistair Camp. Row 4 is Ryan Bensley and Bradley Lane. Row 5, Philip Wright and Ben Sharp. Row 6 then sees Max Edmondson and Simon Waite, and then further back from them onto row number 7 we see Paul McHugh and Dave Bukey. Brennan and the production class pole sitter Mervyn Beckett, Travis Coyne and David Marshall on row number 9. Further back onto row number 10 inside the top 20 for Alfie Threlfall and Harry Threlfall, Nick Charlier and Matthew Stennin on row number 11, Simon Welch and Reese Lewis on the 12th row, and towards the back we should be seeing, hopefully in 25th place, that of Ed Sibbald in the 177 machine. So 25 we are expecting. As we said, we had a few dramas earlier on which may have put pay to some people's final race of the year, but the majority of the field hopefully will be there. Not the biggest grid of the year. On average this year we've seen over 35 cars take to the grid at certain rounds, but what a great season it has been for the Milltek Sport Civic Cup, and a nice way to end here on the 200 circuit of Snetterton. So lap times this weekend have been around about 122, 123 have been the fastest laps we've seen throughout the races for the Cup class, and around about 125 for the production class. So it's the 200 circuit, 2 miles rather than the 300, which is the part of the infield that Snetterton now has these days. That takes it up around about 3 miles in length, but we're on the old configuration, effectively what it used to be like back in the day, the heyday of the great race meetings we had here at Snetterton. And it's going to be the 2 mile circuit in operation. So the car's working their way around on this formation lap. A final chance to get the tyres up to temperature, make sure they're all poised and ready to go. Fairly chilly day today. There's been a bit of a wind out there as well, so temperatures hovering around about 13, 14 degrees if we've been lucky, but the track temperature very cold indeed. So it takes a lot of weaving and a lot of kind of stopping and starting to get these brakes up to temperature. You want them as best as you possibly can do by the time you get up to that first corner, because on multiple occasions so far this weekend, the first corner and also the second corner at Wilson Hairpin has caught a few drivers out. So you don't want to be turning in there and the back end stepping out. You want to have, as I said, as much temperature in those tyres as possible. And as we also mentioned, the sun is starting to set on another season of Civic Cup action, and they're going to be heading down that centre straight in towards the sunset here at Snetterton. It's been on and off with cloud, so it might not be a problem, but you can see just the sun glinting through onto the cars, and it makes an absolutely fantastic sight indeed, with the Cup class cars towards the head of the field, production class cars towards the back, not as powerful, less modified as well, but they'll take their positions on the grid. There's a few from the back of the grid for what will be hopefully the final time this year, as the 5-second board is held aloft. All the drivers now look towards the lighting gantry, which will illuminate red, and 15 minutes of racing for the Milltek Sport Civic Cup. Round 16 gets underway now, and the slippery surface flags come out at the same time, just to warn drivers of previous action that has caused some slippery surface on the track. But off they go towards Ritchie's, and let's see who gets into that first corner in the lead of the race. Well, it's going to be, by the looks of things, number 4 car of Jamie Tonks, which squeezes his way through. So Jamie gets himself now to the lead in that black and gold machine. Second place for number 5 is George Al Williams. He's featured on the podium a couple of times so far this weekend already. And into third place is at the number 74 machine, I think it is, Robert Butler from the outside of row number 2 gets up into third place already. And double victor Morgan Bailey is just off the tail of the top 3, so he's been going great guns so far this weekend, has Morgan, looking for another solid result in this final race. In fact, the other two, or the 2 wins he hasn't had, he's been on the podium in third position, so he's been on the podium in all races so far this weekend. But what will this one deliver for him as they come off the back straight? A little bit of a slide there from Jamie Tonks, just manages to catch the car as it drifts its way down towards the right-hander of the bomb hole. Still building the temperature in the tyres at every single corner, and they won't be up to temperature if they get into the second lap of this race. So they've got to be very careful around the long right-hander of Coram, which they now negotiate and then flick very quickly to the left-hand side as Jamie Tonks leads them through. Again, got that fairly well sorted. In the background there, Robert Butler was out wide, but that will incur a track limits warning. That's one. If you get a few more, you could be incurring a few seconds penalty on your finishing position, but they all get through safely by the looks of it. So up towards Ritchie's for a second time. Jamie Tonks is your race leader. Second place for number 5, George Al Williams. Third place then for number 74 is Robert Butler. He's been at the front for most of the weekend so far, but his best result for Robert Butler has been a second place. The other 2 finishers have been just outside the top 5, but Robert Butler for now in third. Fourth place then for number 26 is double winner Morgan Bailey so far this weekend. Fifth place, number 7, is Ryan Bensley, and then we've got behind them Matt Luff along with number 40 behind them, which is going to be Bradley Lane. Ali Camp has made fairly good progress. In fact, no, he's dropped 2 places, hasn't he? He had a poor race number 3 of the weekend. And Ali Camp now down in 8th position with Max Edmondson and Phil Wright, rounding out your top 10 as it stands. All fairly calm out of the minute in this final race of the year, but Jamie Tonks likely closed down fractionally here by George Al Williams as they negotiate the right-hander at Coram once again. And can George lunge to the inside? We've had a couple of lunges so far in the races today, which haven't really turned out that well. We've had a few outside moves also around the likes of the Wilson hairpin. That's worked very well for a couple of drivers, but I'm sure the top 4 here won't try anything too silly as they head across the line with 12 minutes to go. And it is still Tonks that leads from George Al Williams, and you can just see how quickly it turns around, can't you? From first to second, there was a battle starting to emerge there, but all of a sudden George Al Williams in second place now finds himself under attack from Robert Butler, who just drops 2 wheels into the outside of the track there, so kicks up the dirt, but then on the brakes it will concertinas together through the Wilson hairpin and on towards Chapman, and then down the long Bentley straight. Used to be one of the longest straights in motorsport, but that disappeared once the Wilson hairpin was put into the 300 circuit. But still, you get a good tow and you get the chance to overtake down towards the old S's in towards Brundle, and then the right-hander at Nelson. A little bit closer is George Al Williams there in second position, and he's trying his best to close the gap. Down in the background you can just see Ryan Bensley pulling off the circuit, so there's been some damage to his car by the looks of it as he came off the Bentley straight. But what a shame for Ryan Bensley, was trying all sorts of things across the course of this weekend to get that car as best as he could, but just really hasn't kind of been as it should be. It's a season to forget really for Ryan, and we'll be hoping for much better things in 2022 if he returns for the Milltek Sport Civic Cup, which I'm sure he will. He's thoroughly enjoyed this year despite the odd problems he's had. Across the line goes Jamie Tonks then to lead another lap. On to lap number 5 we're now going to head. So across the line they go. In fact, on to lap number 4. 3 completed. Tonks leads, and it's getting closer and closer now between the top 4. So nothing to choose between them, and all of a sudden Jamie Tonks starts to go defensive now. So he feels the pressure from behind from George Alp Williams, who feints slightly to the inside but can't do anything about taking the lead of the race. Third place is still Robert Butler, now being hounded by Morgan Bailey. And this is the same sort of scenario we saw earlier on, with the top 4 breaking away and everyone else not really with the speed of the front runners. So behind the top 4 you can just about see flashing through there the number 40 machine of Bradley Lane, and he now has everyone else behind him. So Matt Luff and Ali Camp, Max Edmondson and Phil Wright now starting to close up behind, but this is the closest battle on track as it stands, with Tonks and George Alp Williams first and second. Robert Butler looking to improve on his already second place that he's had this weekend. That was the first race of the day, nice and early at 9 o'clock for Robert Butler to get that second place, but can he go 2 better? Well, he's got 2 cars to get through if he wants to get there. He gets very much closer to the second place man through the exit of Murray's, but again, a couple of wheels just drifting off the track there, so that might be a track limits warning for the man in third place as well. And watch out for the red and silver car there of Morgan Bailey. As I said, 2 times winner so far today. Is he just going to play this patiently and watch what happens ahead of him, because it could all just erupt? And a bit like earlier on, Morgan Bailey picked up the pieces and went through to pick up a nice solid result, did Morgan, with the MGB Motorsport team. He got through into third place with the contact between Matt Luff and Max Edmondson. About the minute, he's just off the top 3 as they head their way down the Bentley Straight once more. This is the Cup class battle, by the way. We'll keep an eye on what happens in production as well. As a slight feint again to the inside there from second place man. He's on the grass, he squeezes his way through, but the job is done there for George Alp Williams. So he gets himself down the inside. There was a use of a bit of grass there, but I'm not too sure how that one's going to turn out. But he was getting quicker, was George, and he was getting a bit frustrated with being stuck behind Jamie Tonks, who really hasn't been on form this weekend, considering he came here third in the championship. Jamie's best result so far this weekend has been 6th position by the looks of it, so he hasn't really featured inside the podium places, and that really has dropped him behind Matt Luff and Alistair Camp in the championship as well. And it looks like things are going to go from bad to worse for Jamie Tonks, because after being passed by George Alp Williams, is now going to start to feel the increased pressure from behind, not just from Robert Butler in car number 74, but also from Morgan Bailey. And again, Jamie Tonks tries to fight back. I think that was a fighting move rather than a defensive move in towards Richie's corner. So now he's going to be under attack up towards the Wilson hairpin. He goes right to the inside line as Jamie Tonks in car number 4. And now can Robert Butler squeeze his way through? He's going to be hung out to dry if he's not careful. They just about squeeze their way through, and now Robert Butler, after that move, which was trying to be done on Jamie Tonks, he'll find himself under pressure from the double winner, Morgan Bailey, who draws alongside, but who has the power in a straight line? I think it's just Morgan Bailey who's going to get himself to the inside under the bridge, but who's going to be the last of the late breakers? It's possibly going to be Morgan Bailey. We'll have a look as they come through Nelson, and no, it's not. Robert Butler keeps himself in third place, so very well done for Robert Butler. He manages to keep on the outside line, gets to the inside for Nelson, and stays there in third position. So this is a tremendous battle between third and fourth, keeping it clean as ever as well, which is nice to see. And as they work their way down towards Murray's, have they lost any ground to the top 2? Maybe a car length or so, but I'm sure they'll get that back if Jamie Tonks can start to fight his way back towards the race leader George Alp Williams. But we'll wait and see as the sun continues to set, so that'll be hard for the drivers to negotiate towards Richie's, because that kind of sunlight is right into their eye line as they head through the first corner, which will continue to set towards the end of the day and will become even harder for the drivers to see what happens through Richie's corner. But they negotiate it okay on this occasion, and straight away you can see there third and fourth have now closed back on first and second, so with lead once more. Don't count out the next group, because they have also managed to catch up as well. So Bradley Lane, although he's been defending quite hard in car number 40, he has managed almost to catch the top 4. I think he's still around about second and a half adrift of the leaders, but he's heading in the right direction, which is good. So keep an eye on Bradley Lane, because there's different parts of the circuit which favour different drivers. some benefit, some lose out, but then they back in the next part of the circuit. But for now, George Williams through the bomb hole still leads with 5.5 minutes to go. Top four very, very close through in towards Coram. Morgan Bailey taking a very tight line there, just trying to get the best run through on Robert Butler, but not close enough to make a move down towards Murray's corner. So in they turn. Robert Butler for the umpteenth time runs wide. That will be noted by the officials in race control, but he'll try and slide under the radar, but you can just see how much of an advantage it does give you, because now again he's right onto the back of Jamie Tonks as he crosses the line. That gap between second and third is down to just under 0.2 of a second. George Williams works his way through on towards the right-handed hairpin of Wilson. Three-time podium visitor so far this year, looking for his first win of 2021. And wouldn't it be very nice if it came here at the final race of the year for George Williams? That is quite hard to see the drivers, isn't it? And that's what they would be seeing on the run down towards Ritchie's corner. Pretty much nothing. So the sun is a bit of a concern. It's nice to have it this time of year, but it does cause problems for the race drivers. Under the bridge we go once again then, with 7 laps completed on the 8th lap at the minute. 4.5 minutes to go. Very late on the brakes there for Robert Butler, so he closes down second place man Jamie Tonks. As they head in towards the bomb hole, any chance of Robert Butler to try and get through? Well, his best opportunity will be at the final corner down towards Murray, so watch out for the Kinetic Motorsport and Suspension Secrets car. Number 74 gets on the brakes as late as he possibly can, but no chance through there as Jamie Tonks manages to keep the door shut within his face. Robert Butler, a fairly consistent season for him. 4 podium finishes, 2 race wins as well for Robert. Good qualifying as well this weekend for Robert. He's been up there inside the top 4 places, I think, for most of the starts. So this is what's led him to the consistent season he's had so far. But again, can he look for another podium? Well, he's in third at the minute, which is good, but can he go one better for second? He feints a late move on Jamie Tonks, and that should work this time. It does. He goes through, just runs Jamie Tonks a little bit wide there, but Robert Butler has managed to get his way up into second position, and again it's going to be the charge from Morgan Bailey to try and draw alongside Jamie Tonks as well. So Jamie, I think, has just fallen out the championship hunt in this final race, but that of course will now see him off the podium as it stands. Although, is there problems for the race leader, because he's backed off the pace and that car may have a mechanical problem. So George Williams looking for a solid result, his first win of the year. I think that car has just expired on the Bentley straight, so what a shame for George in car number 5. He's not going to make it to the checkered flag with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. This is absolutely heartbreak for George, running 6th in the championship before this weekend, looking for his first win, as we said, but it's all gone horribly wrong down the Bentley straight for some reason or another. But he'll be a visitor to the pit lane at the end of this lap. But what a shame for George. It does mean we now have a new race leader, because this time through, Robert Butler will be credited as the man to come through in first place on the TSL timing screen. So Butler goes through up towards Ritchie's corner, leads by just under actually 2/3 of a second, so not much at all. And here comes a challenge for third place now, because Morgan Bailey is under attack from Bradley Lane. So all of a sudden, is that Bradley? No, it's not. It's number 72, which is Matt Luff. So he was in a bit of controversy at the end of race 3 after that contact with Max Edmondson, but Luff has now made his way up into 4th place actually, because ahead of him has gone there number 40, Stuart Lane. So there's been a bit of a shuffle round in the order as they work their way down the back straight in towards the left and right flick they're about to go, with race leader Robert Butler still out front. 2nd place for Jamie Tonks, 3rd place now for Bradley Lane, 4th place Matt Luff, 5th place there you can see is Morgan Bailey, and then just behind Morgan is going to be Alistair Camp, I think. So on for the championship provisionally as it stands. There might be some amended results after this weekend's racing, but for now Alistair Camp looking good. I think he's stayed out of most of the trouble, and again scored points where he's needed to, which is good for Alistair Camp, number 45. Looking to take the championship crown from Bruce Winfield, who won it back in 2020 and hotly contested in 2019 by Lee Deegan and Dan Reason, but it was Lee Deegan who came out as the 2019 champion. But it looks like Ali Camp could be the champion in 2021 for the Milltek Sport Civic Cup. We'll get to that at the end of this race, but for now we still have the podium places to be decided, because it's not over between Matt Luff trying to get past now Bradley Lane. So they turn their way through Wilson hairpin for the final time. On towards the Bentley straight they go. Fairly good exit there for Bradley Lane, so I think he'll manage to hold on to it down the straight. But then what will Matt Luff try to do as they head down towards a couple of overtaken opportunities? There's George Out Williams' car pulled to one side now, so a massive shame for George. On for his first win of the year in this race, but it's come to nothing, unfortunately. A couple of laps from the end. We are now on the last lap, 5 seconds to go, so the checker flag will be made ready this time through. There goes the man in third place, Bradley Lane. There goes race leader Robert Butler on his way down towards Coram for the first time. He leads by just over 3/4 of a second. Don't think Jamie Tonks can try anything in towards the final corner, so it's looking good now for Robert Butler, who came here this weekend 9th in the championship, had 4 podiums to his name, 2 of those being race wins. He's going to make it a hat-trick for 2021, so Robert Butler comes up to the line, and the final race winner of 2021 in the Milltek Sport Civic Cup goes the way of Robert Butler, just ahead of Jamie Tonks in car number 4. Third place then goes the way of Bradley Lane. Matt Luff comes through in 5th. Max Edmondson was moving up the order towards the end there. He got into the top 5 on that last lap. Then we saw through 6th place man Morgan Bailey, after his 2 wins and a 3rd place this weekend, finishes the final race in 6th ahead of Phil Wright, Ali Camp, Dave Buki, and behind them was the number 9 machine, which is Paul McHugh. For the production class, we're going to wait for them to come across the line very shortly. Rookie this weekend, Dave Marshall, is going to be on for 3 out of 3. Didn't take part in the cancelled race from Donington Park because he was not there, so he's had 3 out of 3 by the looks of it, flashing his lights, and there he goes, Dave Marshall. Absolutely fantastic job from him on his rookie weekend. He finishes ahead of Travis Coyne in production, and 3rd place will go the way of Mervyn Beckett. And with that result, again provisionally, I think it will be Mervyn Beckett as the production class champion, and provisionally the cup class champion to Alistair Camp. That's how it stands. We'll wait for final classification, and of course you can catch up with all the results and the championship results on the website. Just head along to the Civic Cup website for all the details. But there we go, round 16 done and dusted, and the win goes the way of number 74, which is Robert Butler. Takes the victory by just under half a second in the end there. As we said, 3 wins this year in 2021. Second place goes the way of number 4, which is Jamie Tonks. That's one of his best performances of the weekend. In fact, his only podium of the weekend for Jamie. So a weekend which needed to go right for him. Didn't really go the way, did it? Because 7 podiums this year. This is the first podium for him this weekend. Behind the top 2 was Bradley Lane, gets on the podium as well for this final race. Then Luff for 4th place, 5th place for Max Edmondson, then behind Morgan Bailey, the double winner this weekend, in 6th, Philip Wright for 7th, Alistair Camp, the provisional champion, in 8th, Dave Buki for 9th, and Paul McHugh for 10th, with Jordan Brennan and then Sharp behind in 12th position. The production class winner for the 3rd time today, Dave Marshall, ahead of Travis Coyne and Mervyn Beckett. Mervyn, the provisional champion by the looks of things. Nick Charlier comes through in 4th place, ahead of Harry Threlfall, Ed Sibbald, Matt Stennin, and Simon Welch to round out the top 8. So there we go. They are your results for round number 16. And that is pretty much the season done for the Milltek Sport Civic Cup. There'll be some happy drivers and there'll be some unhappy drivers, but all in all, for the majority of them, it has been an absolutely fantastic season from start to finish. Been a busy year, of course, with races at Cadwell Park. We've had races on the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit a couple of times this year. Alton Park and Anglesey in the middle, along with just the one race we eventually got in at Donington Park. And to round out the season here, 4 races on the Snetterton 200 circuit. But congratulations all around, which is good to see. Jamie Tonks there congratulating the race winner in the end, which is Robert Butler. You've got the 3rd place man down there as well, which is Bradley Lane. So they're all happy in the production class. We'll see what they have to do as well, because they'll be joining the cup class competitors very shortly. There's Jamie, as I said, came into this weekend looking to try and close down Alistair Camp in the championship. It was going to be a hard task with 31 points before drop scores to try and close down, but in the end I think Alistair Camp has just done enough. There's Robert Butler celebrating with the number 1 spot for the final time this year. There's Dave Marshall again in the production class. Not bad at all, is it, for a rookie to come in this weekend and do what you did and get the job done in qualifying, get the 3 wins as well. I think that's going to set Dave Marshall up very nicely for what's to come in 2022. And hopefully it's going to be another fantastic season to look forward to, because already people are starting to sign up for next year. Looking good to have another record grid on the Milltek Sport Civic Cup. It's a great family now that it's become under the kind of time attack weekend that they run with, and modified live here today at Snetterton, along with, of course, the Volkswagen Racing Cup and the TCT and the TCR. It all kind of works very nicely indeed. But there we go. That is the season done, and what a way to end here at Snetterton in the glorious sunset we have. It's been a fabulous weekend. Thanks to everyone who's been involved, the marshals for all their hard work as ever. Without them, we would not be able to go racing. So the Orange Army doing a fantastic job this weekend and all season long. But there we go. That's us done here at Snetterton and for the 2021 season. Thank you so much for your company. Hope you've enjoyed all the racing, and we'll hope to see you again next year in the Milltek Sport Civic Cup.